Half-Life is one of the quintessential FPS games of all time. Personally, when it comes to the franchise, I always saw 2 as the more appealing one since it's what gave us Gmod.
What's up, man?
That being said, I have dabbled a bit in the original, but just never got around to finishing it. Until now, with Half-Life recently hitting its 25th anniversary, those beautiful creatures of Valve made the game free, similar to when they gave away Left 4 Dead 2 for their Christmas update in 2013. For Half-Life, they updated the game with the old intro, a widescreen field of view, 4 new multiplayer maps, and some bug fixes. But they didn't stop there. They also released a 1-hour-long documentary going behind the scenes.
Holy shit.
This feels like a great opportunity to see just how well this classic game holds up. In 1998, after the success of Wolfenstein and Doom, Half-Life revolutionized the FPS genre by doing something no other shooter at the time even conceived of: tell a story. If you don't already know the story, basically the scientist Gordon Free Guy is called in to conduct an experiment at Black Mesa Research Facility. What exactly is he experimenting on? Let's ask the scientists.
Fuck you, Gordon!
It looks like we're completely kept in the dark, as the staff seems a bit jumpy leading up to the test. But of course, as we do as we're told, the machine malfunctions, causing aliens to wreak havoc in the facility. It's now our priority to get out. I think the story being shown to you at a slower pace in an FPS game where back in the day you would just shoot first and ask questions later, added an extra layer of intrigue and reason to be shooting in the first place. And now you can see Half-Life's influence everywhere, even in the newer Doom games, where they opted for a more story-driven experience than their predecessors. Really cool how the influence comes full circle. Speaking of influence, in Valve's documentary they mentioned how the general atmosphere of the game was actually inspired by The Mist. Fancy seeing you here again. And in the alien world Zen, the organic machinery with bug-like textures is very H.R. Geiger-esque. But don't get me wrong, Half-Life has a very distinct life of its own. Although I would argue the story isn't as strong as the second one, it provides plenty of twists and turns to make it a truly memorable experience. And oh boy, do we have some memorable stuff. The head crabs raining down the descending lift. Bye-bye. The helicopter fight in the canyon. And lest we forget the desync tentacle grabbing the side. They synced it? I think Valve taking the time to fix this after all these years shows how important it is to have immersion. The game really makes you feel like Gordon. As soon as we see the carnage caused by the experiment gone wrong, gone sexual no clickbait, there's this immediate sense that we're in danger. Meaning with the scientists and security guards, they either charge head first into battle with us, or do this. And if you keep them alive, they can open doors for you, or if you're low on health, heal you with a syringe. I like how you aren't told that NPCs have any of these abilities, you just figure it out as you play. Another immersive aspect of the game is the subtlety of its level design. For example, whenever the power is turned on, the exposed wires near water obviously can kill you. So when the power is off, passing this pool of water is just fine. Only when you turn on the power and go back to that same pool of water, now it's electrified, forcing you to find another way across. But the game doesn't just give you one way to get to your next destination. You can also use the wide variety of weapons in your arsenal. For example, if you're the patient type, the trip mine works wonders.
Guys, look.
Yeah, I'm looking. I can't move, I'm stuck. If you just want a quick and easy kill, a few bursts of the Gauss gun should do the trick. Or if you prefer to be more stealthy, you could use the snarks and watch them slowly devour your enemies one by one, although that can easily backfire on you. However, there are times when you feel completely vulnerable. For example, after I beat the Dominatrix ninjas, I was ambushed in the dark by soldiers. As they carried me off, I woke up and found myself unable to move. It was just me, a table, and the void. After I restarted from my last save, the game went on as if nothing ever happened. Apparently it's a bug. Wait a minute. I thought you said you fixed those.
No.
What they did fix is the original player and weapon models are now default. For a while, they were set to the stinky HD models. Although they don't look as realistic, let's hear from Gaben himself.
Realism is fun.
Thanks, Gabe. Apart from the visual side, a big part of the immersion comes down to the sound design. From the healing and armor stations, to the crowbar smacking the vents, even to the beautiful voices of the scientists. Every sound is perfectly crafted, and it's the subtle stuff that really sells it. For example, when you enter areas with harder surfaces, you hear a wobbly reverb every time you shoot. Something less subtle is the little hound eyes.
What the dog doing?
They have this high-pitched squeal that gets incrementally higher like they're about to drop a nuke. There's also the boosted radio effects on the HECU soldiers as they communicate with each other, which you can usually hear right before they attack. At times it sounds like an old COD lobby from 2009.
Yum, 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 I eat dick all day.
Then you have the slow, slithery voice of G-Man,
Impressed.
who we occasionally see walking away from the chaos,
G-Man, why don't you die?
but don't hear until the very end of the game, adding to his mystique. There's so many things to like about the game, but I just have one tiny little problem. Seriously, I cannot tell you how many times I either got lost or stuck in a level where I had no health or armor. And I get it, games made around this time were all difficult to an extent, but even on medium, I just found myself dying over and over and over again. If you try going in guns blazing against the HECU soldiers, you might just get overwhelmed by their sheer numbers. And if you try to hide behind cover for too long, you'll get barraged by grenades. So the only way to beat them, like I mentioned before, is by experimenting with weapons and the environment around you. I also had some trouble when I got to those little camping snipers, as I'd run out of grenades because they'd overshoot every single time. What? And then you got the turrets hidden behind cover, which are more or less the same deal, but there's also an option to sneak behind them and find a small gap. But then we arrive at Zen, the alien world that is completely foreign to us. When exploring, you see that platforming and timing have to be very precise. From what I've heard online, it seems like most people think this part of the game wasn't handled with the same intricacy compared to the first half, and in the documentary, they did confirm that they were strapped for time and had to go with their first drafts. I could definitely feel how slow and empty certain sections were, like in Gonarch's lair, where I had to dodge all the baby head crabs and this nutsack's white venom. They knew what they were doing with this. But the world is alien in a literal sense, so most things here are different. For example, rather than using stations to heal, you stand on pools of glistening water or within healing chambers, which, by the way, take way too long. Also, once you accidentally hit these scaly barrels, you realize too late that they're eggs for alien grunts. I found the satchel charges to be a nice way to rectify this. They definitely went more conceptual for these chapters, and I can totally respect that. And you know what? Zen isn't even that bad. It's just a bit scattered. With the final boss, Nihilanth, for example, he traps you in this closed-off arena similar to the beginning test chamber. Here, he has a tracking beam that teleports you to a different platformer level each time. What? Which gets really annoying as you have to fight enemies over and over while finding your way back. Luckily, you can cheese the beam by staying behind these spikes. After beating the boss baby, we're teleported by G-Man, who we see as some sort of interdimensional businessman. We're then given the choice, work for him or refuse. I initially chose to refuse and, well...
No regrets, Mr. Freeman.
So I went back and chose to work for him instead, and that's it. One ending you live and the other you die. Not exactly a red pill, blue pill kind of choice here. But it does drive home that you're now just another cog in the cold industrial machine, which ties perfectly into the sequel. Overall, the game was so innovative for its time, mixing in a fun alien invasion storyline with tactical problem solving. There's no denying that Half-Life has influenced an entire generation of games, not only in the FPS genre, but all across the industry. And looking at what they've done for the 25th anniversary, it seems like Valve understands how much this game meant to not only the players, but to them as well. If only Gabe could count to 3.
1, 2, 3.